Dude.
Is
Finally.
Is the Republic in danger?
The Republic?
Yeah.
The last time we had you on, I don't remember even what we talked about.
We talked about, I went to a zoological conference. I described that. We can leave the details of that to the viewer to seek out. We talked about America. I think we talked about, like, something meta. Like
I have to introduce you first, because this might be someone's first episode.
Oh, okay.
So I'm Dylan. This is my pod. This is my friend, Grant. He used to be my friend, and then he started fucking ignoring me and became extremely hard to get a hold of and went down a rabbit hole, pun intended.
I'm finishing my degree.
You're finishing his degree. See, I value my friendships, and people like Grant value things like school and work above that.
Yeah, do you have something to drink?
Yeah, so we have to pour this. So
completely unrelated. So I'm Grant. I'm the premier authority on myself. I'm studying for a philosophy degree. It's the degree that proves you're stupid. You know, you can't prove you're smart. You can definitely prove you're stupid. And that's what we're doing. I mean, my mind is just wrapped up in writing these papers that will be read once, then will be over. All right. That's the academic papers, like, no one reads them.
We have to loosen up. Well, I read a lot of them.
Yeah, but, like, in school, because you had to. You wouldn't have read them for fun. I read a few of them for fun. That was a fun class, though, the one with, like, napalm and stuff.
I'm excited. I think you got more.
I think I might have.
All right, here we go.
All so right. Is the Republic in danger? Like, more so than usual?
Now that I have this in me, no. No, I actually just talked about this at work. We had a pretty long discussion. A guy I talked to about the stock market pretty regularly. He's always bearish, so he's always like, "Oh, the stock market's too overvalued. There's too much." And I'm like, dude, this was when we were going on all types of bull runs. Everything was going up, but you know, he was always making the argument, which he's sort of right. Everything was a little overvalued. But the counter to that everyone else sort of made was, where else is the money going to go? Because, like, no one's going to put it in China. This was, their economy has sort of not been booming as much. Or the stocks that you can buy from them has not been booming as much lately.
Great economically.
Same with Europe. Same with, you're not going to put it in cash or gold. Bitcoin is just a risk asset. So it's just completely dependent on people's risk tolerance at the time. So where else the fuck are you going to put it? So people were putting it into the stocks. And, as we record this today, the market's down another 4% after Trump announced the tariffs. And things are looking pretty grim for the stock market. But what I told him was, I'm okay with the tariffs conditionally. I'm okay with the tariffs and the stock market going down 8% in 2 days, and there just being less growth during the next 3.5 years and all that, if the tariffs do whatever the fuck their goal is, and the
goal hasn't been announced.
Let's say it's to reduce the deficit. Like, if they're like, we're gonna do this, and it's going to change the trajectory of our national deficit, and it's going to make people's jobs and the leverage they have with their labor in America better, then I'm like, okay, fine, but I have yet to know if that's gonna happen or not. Like, this ultimately might just be they impose a shit ton of tariffs, and then in 6 months Trump folds and is like, fuck it. But
he recognizes headlines. Headlines work on him. So if he's getting bad headlines and he thinks he can turn them around and make them good, yeah, I think he might fold in a while.
Yeah.
But I don't know what his end game is, though. I wish I knew the inside of his mind. Because he's a smart guy. He has a plan.
I don't know. People think he's playing 3D chess. I think he's just trying to... bring people to the table.
Fair. Just show him that he can do something that can hurt him.
And it's also, I think there's also the element of like, okay, like, we're going to tariff you 30%, and you're going to tariff us 30%, but your 30% hurts way more than you guys tariffing us 30%. So who gives a fuck? I think that might be part of the play. It's like, well, it's going to hurt you guys more. Like, it's going to sting for us, but it's going to be worse for you guys. What was the other part of that? So, the other thing is, like half of Americans don't even fucking own stocks.
But a lot of us do.
Yeah. And a lot of wealthy people do, and it is where people store their, 401ks and all that.
Like, I'm not even fucking wealthy and I own stock.
Yeah.
So...
You're an exception for that, though.
I don't know. I know a lot of people who are, like, small stock owners. Like, it just makes sense. Because, I mean, I'm not a good investor at all. I buy the ones I like with no sell plan, and then I just vaguely sell when I need money. But I'm still way up compared to if I just put it in cash, like, in the bank.
Yeah.
Because, it just makes sense.
But I think from, like, all other... all other angles that you look at everything in totality, I don't know if the Republic is in danger.
Well, let me unpack this. Because I wasn't even thinking about the economy and the tariffs. I'm not even...
Oh, you're not even... You didn't ask in regard to that.
No. And I'm not even asking in regard to Trump, per se. Because, okay, everyone's like, oh, he's Hitler, he's going to ruin everything. I'm like, maybe, I hope not, but I don't think so. I think he's not as evil as a lot of people suspect, and I think he's smarter than a lot of people suspect. Now, he's still a buffoon in some respects, but okay, here's the problem. He could, and I don't think he's going to do this, but if he liked, he could declare an attack on Iran tomorrow and say it was for a completely legitimate reason, declare a national emergency on that basis, and claim wartime executive power and do powers that are Caesar tier. And I don't think he's going to do this, but I think he could.
It's extremely unlikely. What I was also saying yesterday is I was absolutely fascinated by the signal leaks.
Yeah, that was...
Because it was sort of just like peeking through the keyhole and seeing how these people talk.
The flag,
when
American
they don't know,
flag, fist, fire.
Yeah, when they don't know that other people are listening, how they talk behind closed doors, I'm very much intrigued by that.
Well, they talk like our Discord chat.
Exactly. But to hear at least JD was like, I don't want to go through with these Houthi strikes because I don't want to bail out Europe, and it's inconsistent with our messaging. To me, that seems like, okay, they're at least trying. Some part of this presidency is trying to be isolationist and not do drone strikes on Houthis and not get engaged with Iran and not get into all these wars overseas like they talk about on the campaign trail. But we ended up, doing it anyways. Hegspeth and the other fucking, people who are working in the Department of Defense wanted to go through with it. So, I don't know. I don't know.
I agree with you that it's incredibly unlikely that the current administration is going to, pull a Palpatine, declare the emergency powers. But in the long run, if you zoom out, it's almost an inevitability. Because given that such a thing is possible, eventually someone's going to game the system to do it, right? Like, okay, here's one alternative. Trump royally fucks everything on tariffs, tanks the economy, loses the midterms really hard, and then loses the election to, like, Bernie or AOC or something. And then
loses what election?
Like the...
You think he's going to run for a third term?
Yeah, good chance of it.
Think?
I would bet on it. Yeah.
What?
I mean, unless he dies,
I don't think he will.
Or okay, but
I hope he doesn't.
Let's say he makes Vance lose the elections because or whoever the replacement is.
He becomes a shadow Palpatine.
Yeah. But
J.D. Vance.
we get like an extreme like AOC Rashida Tlaib leftist in who's like, look how these right policies have destroyed the economy.
No way.
We're gonna go collectivist, and again the emergency powers for something that's fucked. And then we have a Caesar situation. I think down the line,
way, man.
I see a Caesar situation within the next 40 years as an inevitability, like 80%, unless we roll back executive power, which is really hard to do because the people in power would have to do it. Like, how won't this happen? Won't someone do this given that the possibility exists? It's so tantalizing.
I don't know. I think we started fucking we started the pod fucking super hard, bro. I feel like politics has got to come last.
Well, no, I got some other exciting stuff, but
we can stay on this while we're going. But...
Yeah, I'm curious about this. Like, how do you roll back executive power? Or is there just going to be a global crisis that we all have to band together and it's a different metagame? Like, it's just a different thing going on. That could be it.
I don't know. I mean, people always say the president is just a fucking figurehead, but I think that's proven to not be true.
Executive power is overreached insanely. You got what's his name? The second Roosevelt, FDR, yeah. And then you have all the nuclear stuff where you can't have Congress declaring war, and so the president has the nuclear authority, and then you have like Nixon with his finger on every different pie, and it's just gone up and up and up from there. I mean, look at Biden and his fucking executive mandates that were totally unconstitutional, and the courts would strike him down. He'd say, I'm going around the courts. And like, again, none of these people, I'm not like, oh, it's all Biden's fault, but it's just the crack has been broadening and broadening and broadening, and when it breaks, that's Caesar. And we just keep, and I would say Trump is pushing the envelope further in that direction. I don't think he's going Caesar. I don't think he's Hitler. Everyone says that, and I fucking hate it because one day there will be someone who goes Hitler and will say it, and it'll be like, oh, you always say that, like Boy Who Cries Wolf. But it has to inevitably become that unless, again, there's a rollback of executive power. I feel like I'm on.
Someone worse is going to come along, and they're going to go, such and such is Hitler, or worse than Hitler. And then we're going to go, well, I thought Trump was Hitler. And they're going to go, they both are. And wait a minute, that doesn't make sense.
They will praise Trump because he'll be out of power at that point. And it'll be like you remember how all the Democrats like praised McCain and Romney in the age of Trump? There will be a time when they praise Trump because it's the age of hypervance. Well, after Trump's dead. But no, they will. They will. It's just like Democrats in today's world genuflect to Reagan. I see it.
No.
You don't see it? I see a lot of them do
Reagan.
That. See, fair enough.
They're like, Reaganomics doesn't work. I hear that from them.
I've seen Democrats criticize Trump on the basis that he's much worse than Reagan. So maybe it's just different information spheres. But I suspect they'll say, oh, we said Trump was Hitler, but now the new guy's Hitler. And oh my God, I feel like I sound like a Fox News watcher right now, but I fucking hate the Republicans. Because their platform is we're going to put the Catholics in power over the courts, and we're going to enslave.
Wait, how many Catholics?
I think it's like 5.
I thought it was just Amy Cohen.
No, I think you have like 5 Catholics on the Supreme Court. I'm gonna Google this right now. But they literally, with their abortion stuff, they want to enslave everyone who's alive enough to have a sex life like that. I hate them more than I hate the Democrats.
Who else did Trump appoint? Kavanaugh. Was Kavanaugh Catholic?
Catholics on the... I don't know, but Vance is a fucking Catholic, though he's...
No, dude, that doesn't count. How many Catholics?
It says 6. It says 6 Catholics on the court.
Yeah, they have 2/3. How devout are they, though?
God. Well, I don't know. I mean, the question is, do they believe it or not?
Come on, they're probably not.
I bet at least some of them do, and it's...
How many of them wear the robes every Sunday?
Probably most of them don't. But here's the thing. So we have our big dissatisfaction with industrial civilization and alienation and all that puts money in the bank of fundamentalist religion. I don't think we've heard the last of it. I know it's like, oh, there's the internet and religion is over, but I think there's going to be another big gasp for religion. I think in 800 years when we're on moons, people on the moon will say Christians are making a comeback again. It's just going to keep cycling. And I think they're well positioned. It's the Vatican, fundamentalist Islam, both of them, big moves in the next century.
I think we're just going to go from religions to algorithms.
You think so? How can you unpack that?
I just think that, how there's people are on different echo chambers now based off of what algorithms keep them on the apps longer.
Oh, and that's your church.
And that's just their, like, that's their Bible, basically. That's their church. That's their moral value set, is just these are the videos I watch. The people tell me in these videos this is what's right and this is what's wrong.
It's even a community like a church.
Because Kayla and I are in completely different algorithms.
Spheres, yeah.
Because it knows I'm a man and she's a woman. So
and
I think it just sends us...
Yeah,
and then everything gets sort of fed off of that, and it knows how old we are. It knows what shows we watch, because I skip past the videos of the shows that I'm not interested in or don't watch. So it kind of knows, and I think it just feeds you shit like that, and then I don't know. I mean, it's like that with a lot of people. Like, I mean, I don't know. But I think that's basically where we're at now, where it'll probably get worse in the future.
So it'll replace religion as a form of tribalism?
Yeah, and it sort of already is, I think.
See, I think religion, especially monotheistic religion, just offers this sort of absoluteness that this subjective algorithm doesn't offer. Like, I disagree. I think there's going to be a big religious thing.
I think that a lot of the beliefs of people, though, are absolutist. And especially ones who are chronically online. They're absolutist about, like, you are racist, or, like, they have these, like, you know, the beliefs that people commonly hold on both sides. And I think it's very similar. So, I actually, like, almost say to people sometimes, like, how do you not see the irony of how people who can be super anti-Christian are, like, very similar in the way they impose their beliefs on other people. So I don't know.
Fair, yeah. There is a lot more hypocrisy running around than self-awareness. That,
like, the Tesla car is getting scratched up right now. It's the same thing. It's like you hit the button in the algorithm, everybody gets fucking activated, and they're like, this is Satan. Elon equals Satan.
Let's vandalize electric vehicles.
Yeah, this is how I need to, instead of going to church or doing whatever fucking Christians do, converting people, I need to vandalize the vehicle, right? So I think it's very similar to that. Do you not? Have you not thought of that?
No, it's definitely there. People need community, and I think there's, like, a healthy way to do it where you have, like, your friends. And then also there's a healthy way to do it where you're involved in your community around here. Like, I'm gesturing out to your neighborhood, for instance, or your job, you know, just people you see in your day-to-day. But then it can just turn into something awful and unhealthy, and I'm not surprising anyone there. Like, everyone knows that, a community can be good and bad.
Yeah. What have you been up to, dude?
Okay,
I haven't seen you in weeks.
So I've been working on my papers. I'm writing up 3 philosophy papers for my master's degree to finish it. It's my portfolio.
Are you done in this month or next month?
So I'm supposed to be done in May, but in practice it takes the teachers a long time to review the papers and give feedback, and there's multiple rounds of revision. So I suspect that I won't actually be done until the end of summer, even though I'll have, like, papers submitted by the end of May. Yes, but I don't care at this point.
It's bullshit for me, because I don't want you to be in Long Beach. I want you down here.
Well, no. In May, I'm gonna be just living here. Okay. Like, I'm gonna, because that's when I'm moving out of my Long Beach place. But so I've been working on that. I've been playing a lot of Magic at school. I've been hanging around various communities. I found out that the LGBT people, they are aligned with the Muslims, and it's really funny because you would expect them to be very extremely tolerant, and then there was this one there was this dude that I know from the LGBT resource center at Long Beach, and, like, we had chatted, we had been, like, acquaintances, and then one day I was talking to the Jews, because the Jews and the Muslims were both, like, on campus protesting. And whenever I see religious protesters, I will immediately go up to them. So I go up to the Muslims and I'm like, hey, like, the situation in Gaza is clearly unacceptable. What do you think the solution is? And they immediately got very cagey. They're like, the solution? What solution? And I'm like, you know, like, to the problem in Gaza, it seems unacceptable, right? So how do we get out of it? And they're like, we don't really know, but, like, we have a QR code that you can donate money. And I'm just like, oh, okay. They're not going to admit that we need violent revolution because that's their actual position. I know what it is.
Dude, you are a protester provocateur.
Yeah, I love talking to. Okay, as someone who's been out doomsaying myself,
we both have.
Yeah, I respect it. I respect that someone has taken time out of their day to, like, go in a public space and, like, humiliate themselves, frankly, like, look like a social fool. I don't think they see it that way, though. But if for a cause is the point. They care about a cause enough that they're going to go and demonstrate it. And I'm curious about it. Like, and I almost feel like I owe them that, like, to talk to them because they got dressed and came out here. So I will always talk to protesters. Also, I love giving Christians a piece of my mind. Like, being like, oh, tell me what you think about God. And they do. And I'm like, oh, fascinating. Now here's what I think. And, like, you know, going after them because they can't leave. They're a captive audience. You see, really what this is about is that I get a captive audience. So...
My favorite thing about everything that's been going on with you is that you're telling people you're going to get your philosophy masters. And I know people, when they hear that, they envision you studying in a library super late.
And that's half of it.
And that's not half of it. What you're really doing is provoking Jewish people and Muslim people. You're going to the LGBTQ club. Right? And you're pointing out, like, wait a minute, don't you guys not agree with each other's values? You're going to FurCon. You're doing FurCon stuff.
And the furry club at school.
Yeah, and the furry club. And you're playing Magic.
Yeah.
That's like 5 things right there.
No, but the
so
other
like, I'm getting my masters. I'm getting my philosophy masters. In reality, I know what you're doing. You're grabbing your magic shit, and on the way to Fur Club, you're provoking Christians and Jews, and then you're gonna go play Magic after.
No, and I'm working, but I'm working security and reading the whole time for fun.
Oh, you are working too.
So, but I'm working weekends. Okay, but no.
What is your hold on? What is your philosophy thesis on about willpower? I think you've told me a little bit.
It's 3 different papers. I'm not going to get into that because I could go for an hour.
That's fine.
But I'll just summary.
Well, we have plenty of time.
Quick summary here. So one of them is about Aristotle has a certain account of weakness of the will, like, you know, you eat a cake even though you tell yourself you're not going to eat a cake. Donald Davidson
weakness of the will.
Akrasia, Aristotle calls it. So Davidson has a critique of Aristotle's weakness of the will. He calls it inconsistent, but Davidson's critique only works by dropping Aristotle's intellectual context. So I'm explaining why Davidson's critique is...
He's context dropping.
Yes. Davidson's critique is ill-conceived. Aristotle is actually correct. But then the third part of the paper that I still have to write is how the 2 viewpoints are actually reconcilable. They're compatible viewpoints. Davidson and Aristotle's accounts of weakness of the will both have a lot to gain from each other and can be somewhat reconciled, which I'm going to do, or at least lay out the map for how that might be done.
What is your take on weakness of the will?
Appetite overcomes reason.
Okay.
It's either you don't think it through, because, okay, I want to eat a pie.
Does Aristotle reference a cake in his writings?
No, but
was cake around then?
No, but basically.
What does he use?
I mean, I don't know. Food. He talks about sweet foods. He doesn't specify.
Foods. Jelly rolls.
But whatever those
sweet
fucking
rolls
Greeks
from
were.
Skyrim, yeah.
But I think that your reason is overpowered by your appetite, either because you don't think it through, because if you really thought it through and saw the consequences, you would want to do the right thing, or because you're stupid and you have a problem in thinking it through.
Is it primate? It primate instinct? I see and I want it and I'm going to eat it?
Yes, but a healthy person subordinates that to reason, and actually their appetite will eventually be in harmony with reason. But in short, the thing that underlies it all is evasion, psychological evasion, denial, etc. Okay, and then the next paper is about philosophy of fiction. I'm writing about someone has an account of why emotions felt towards fiction are not of the same character as real emotions. He calls them quasi-emotions. I'm arguing that there is in fact a distinction between emotions you feel towards fiction and towards reality, but that the cause is not what this author says, but it's actually that things that exist are fundamentally different than things which don't exist, and they're appropriately the object of different attitudes, but that you can bridge the gap because fiction can illustrate principles which actually exist, such as like loyalty being important is a real thing. Like if you've seen it, you know it. And so fiction can pick out those principles and can actually trigger genuine emotions on that basis. So I'm appealing to certain accounts of moral realism to sort of justify this. It's a little modification to Walton's model of emotions and quasi-emotions as discussed in Mimesis and Make-Believe, etc., and then all this other stuff. Okay, and then the last paper...
Hold on. Paper number 2.
Yeah.
Is this sort of like people feeling disdain or hatred towards a movie character?
Yes.
And they're saying that's two separate things?
Then if he was a real person.
I think with some people it's indistinguishable.
I would say that either those people have blurry categories, or those people, their emotions are about, like, the principle behind the thing. It's not just about what, like, Joffrey is doing, but about, like, disgusting people in general.
Which Joffrey?
From, like, Game of Thrones.
Are you doing a Game of Thrones reference?
Which I haven't watched or read, but I hear Joffrey's a piece of shit.
Okay, I was like, did you finally read Game of Thrones?
I haven't started.
I've been trying to get him to read Game of Thrones for...
He gave me the copy, I'll read it at work.
A few years. I'm like, you would like this. And he goes,
Yeah, I'm reading some Octavia Butler recommended by intersectional feminists, which Octavia Butler's actually really good. But
okay, so there have been times where Caitlin's gotten mad at something, and I've had to be like, it's fake. Like, you can't actually be mad. You know what I mean? I think that's happened at least when we're watching a show or something. I'm like, yeah, you have like real feelings toward this, but I'm like, it's not. It's fake.
Well, I grant that they're real feelings, but I bet they would be distinctively different if they were towards, like, one of her employees. Like, someone who was literally doing it and you knew it was real. Like, I think that would just be different. Or if not, either murky categories or it's the principle involved. One of the two.
So what's this third paper?
Okay, third paper, I've been working on it the most, and somehow it's entirely fallen out of my mind.
Did you have to do 3 papers because you wanted to, or did they tell you you're doing 3?
It's either a 75-page thesis, or 60 to 75, or 3 20 to 25-page papers. The papers are what I preferred.
Okay.
Okay, last one. There is a utilitarian thought experiment that they call it the hedonistic... First, there's a principle in utilitarianism called the hedonistic total principle, which is that what's best in a given population is for it to have the most of whatever makes life worth living, whether it's hedonism or just whatever you want to substitute in as what makes the good life. We need a population with as much of that as possible. But if we grant that, then for any given population of, say, 10 billion people who live like really high quality utopian lives, there is a much bigger population that would be better where the people's lives are just barely worth living, like, say, hundreds of trillions of people who just have lives that are, again, just barely worth living. Like, if they stubbed their toe, their life wouldn't be worth living. That situation with these 10 trillion people would be better.
That's me. I have a bad morning. I talk about killing myself at work.
Well, that's... The idea is...
Wait, didn't I talk to you about that the other day?
Yes.
I was like, I'm going to kill myself.
I think you did.
Yeah.
But
and I asked you, how should they find the body?
And I said making a political statement of some kind. But the hedonistic total principle basically says that it would be better for there to be this enormous, barely worth living population than 10 billion utopians, because there would be more greater hedonism, the same way that, like, a giant heap of milk cartons, each with 1 drop of milk, could have more milk than, like, just 1 full jug, except that the milk is life satisfaction. Now, I say this is horseshit, because what makes human life worth living is too complicated a thing to be reduced to a single number for the whole population. I think it is a retarded category error to look at, like, say, the population of Rwanda and say the total well-being of Rwanda is 760,000 hedons of well-being. Like, that's stupid. No one thinks that way.
It's like when people do, like, happiness surveys.
Yes.
They're like,
how
Denmark is
happiness are you?
Yeah, Denmark's the happiest country in the world. I'm like, bitch, how the fuck are you? You know, I'm like, how do you can't measure that? Well, you took a fucking survey or something? You know, it's like, But I see what you're saying.
And all my paper is doing is arguing that the repugnant conclusion, as it's called, that there should be this, we should have a huge population of lives barely worth living. That would be better. I'm just saying why that's bullshit. I'm explaining why it's bullshit. I'm gonna take a leak real quick.
Yeah. Grant's gonna do that. I'm gonna do an ad read.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna do an ad read here. You need a pickleball paddle, and I have pickleball paddles, and I am an ambassador of a very popular pickleball company called 11624. 11six24.com/Dylan. Support this program, support this podcast. You need a paddle. I have the pickleball paddle. I'm telling you right now, it's the best one. I've tried out all of them. These are the best ones. You need it. 11six24.com/Dylan. Promo code Dylan, DYLAN, and you'll get $10 off any paddle. When you pull up to the pickleball court, you want to pull up in style. You want to have a Pegasus or a Vapor or a Hirache. These are the three shapes. They come in variants of prices, and you need one. I'm just kind of doing this on a whim here, but Grant needs one. I have one already. He hasn't supported it, but he will. Have you tried these pickleball paddles?
So is this more interesting than academic philosophy?
I have to do an ad read to support the pod.
Okay. I haven't played pickleball in my life.
Yeah. You don't want to turn out like Grant. You need a paddle.
Yeah,
you want
look at me.
Yeah, you want to be like people who play pickleball, all right? I guarantee you, and look, you might be playing already, and you might say, hey, my paddle's just not cutting it for me. I think I need something a little bit better. These are for you. You might not have paddle yet. You might not play pickleball, but I guarantee you someone's going to ask you to play one day, and you don't want to come to the court empty-handed. I'm telling you right now. If you come to the court empty-handed, you're going to look like a giant fucking loser. Everyone's going to think you're a pussy. No one's going to want to play with you. You get one of these now, it'll last you the rest of your life. If you're not using it very often, but it will last you a long time. And you get one now so that you don't have to go through all the shitty ones first, because people make the mistake of going into Target or Walmart and getting the crappy ones. They spend way too much money on the crappy ones. You just get one of these ones now, and it's solid, and then you don't have to go through all the bullshit I went through of testing out all the shitty ones, all right? You got anything? Can you like fucking tell the people about these pickleball paddles?
All right, so buy the cheap, shitty one, and then if it breaks, buy the good one, because then you'll know you use it enough for it to break, and then the good one will last you. That's my advice.
And by the shitty ones, you mean
whatever the cheapest one is.
From the brand from
No.
11624?
Buy the cheap one.
No, don't do
Walmart.
that. Don't listen to Grant.
When that breaks and you're sick of it, then you've played it.
They're actually not that much cheaper.
To it, and then you'll buy. Oh, if they're not that much cheaper, buy the cheapest one.
The cheapest paddle on 11624 is the Jelly Bean, and you can get one of those for $90 with promo code Dylan, DYLAN.
Are they paying you? Or are they really?
No, they're not. But we have to have an ad read to make the podcast more official.
Okay, fair.
I happen to be an ambassador. I'm just doing the thing so that we're an official podcast.
Okay, so Muslims.
Every real podcast has an ad read.
Okay, so Muslims, Jews, and the LGBT. I didn't finish this.
Okay, this is our last episode on YouTube, by the way. We're definitely banned after this. We just used all three of the hot words that are going to get us flagged, but go on.
No, I go to the LGBT Resource Center and I find all over Muslim advertisements, and then I see there's like a booklet of propaganda where they have the the school's mascot, which is a shark, like portrayed as a Zionist shill. And he's a shark, so he has a big nose. And I'm just like, is this...
Grant,
can you really have this in a school? Like, is this okay?
Grant, I don't need you to tell us about the entirety of your sexuality. But can you like vaguely tell the audience something so they don't think you're a straight white guy who's tormenting the gay community?
So no, I'm a straight guy, but I'm only gay for the best. It's like
Okay.
I don't eat Ethiopian food, But if you were like, this is the best Ethiopian restaurant in the world, and I will take you there.
Okay.
I'll give it a try.
Okay.
Or like, there's a Louis C.K. bit where it's like he wouldn't eat a turtle, but if it was like, this is the last turtle of his species, he's gonna eat the turtle.
Yeah.
So
okay. So just so people don't think that we're just a bunch of straight white dudes, you're tormenting them on campus.
No. I'm straight.
Yeah,
I'm only gay for the
okay.
best. That's the so Dylan's excluded.
Yeah.
The point is, okay. So I'm talking to the Muslims, and then I go and I talk to the Jews. And I ask them, what's the solution? How do we get out of this crisis? And they're ready to give me an answer. They say, well, the Palestinians need to elect their own government, even though they elected Hamas in 2008, whatever. They're just saying, we need to get a real government in. Yeah, they haven't had an election in, like, forever.
Well, that's bullshit.
Yeah, most of the people there who voted, like, are dead. And
are
the people
gone.
no, they're just dead. And the people who are alive to vote, like, they didn't get a chance to vote because they're 19 now. But, okay, but that's what the Jews said, and the guy actually used the phrase "final solution to the Palestinian question."
Holy
and of
shit.
course, I'm generalizing because I say the Jews. It's like, no, one Jewish group on campus. The Muslims, no, one Muslim group on campus. The LGBTs, no, one person who puts stuff up in their club. But as I'm talking to this Jewish guy, who's, he's clearly Jewish. It's at the Jewish station. He has like a yarmulke and stuff. Someone from the LGBT club walks by, and I sort of wave to him, and he just looks right on past. And in the past, we had said hi to each other and waved and stuff. And in the future, when I see him, he's just looking right past me because I was talking to Jews. You can't be associating.
Oh,
with
you're
Jews.
associated.
Yeah. Mm.
Well, you're on the Islam watch list now.
I am.
As a known communicator with Jewish people.
I very narcissistically wonder about my profile on watch lists, algorithms, etc. The reality of it is I'm not on a fucking watch list, but again,
What's
I
your threat
narcissistically
level?
wonder about.
No, you might be on a watch list.
I'm threat level midnight.
Threat level midnight.
Threat level midnight.
I don't know if Muslims do threat level midnight.
I'm haram.
Threat level haram.
Threat level haram. It says next to my name, haram in the streets, halal in the sheets.
I think that the Muslims are so popular at the LGBT club is the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Mm-hmm. That's absolutely what it is.
But do you ever wonder if they'll ever turn on each other? If they destroy the Jews and Christians, do you think that they just...
The day Sharia is declared, every LGBT person will be thrown from a rooftop.
Oh my god,
very day.
dude. No, we're totally gonna get fucking... We're just done. This is the last episode we could do together.
Well, I'm not saying this about Muslims as a whole, but if
you have to
believe
clarify
in Sharia,
you don't want that to happen, too.
I don't want to be thrown from a rooftop.
You have to say you don't want that, or people are going to think so.
I do not wish to be thrown from a rooftop according to the dictates.
Or anyone
Sharia.
else. You have to say or anyone else. You selfish.
There's kind of a rooftop political spectrum that goes from Korean to throwing people off it.
Rooftops are very politically oriented.
They are in today's world, yeah.
Yes. The Beatles had a concert on a rooftop. Koreans were on a rooftop. People get thrown from them.
Dylan Roof. The sloped roof.
The sloped roof that the president was shot at from. When they took over Stalingrad, the Germans went up, hold on. Who went on the roofs?
Well, I don't know.
When the Russians retook Stalingrad, was it Stalingrad or Moscow? They went up on the roofs.
The big one.
They went up on the roofs and waved the flags. Very
and when they took Berlin.
Roofs, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking, the iconic imagery.
Yeah, roofs are important.
They are. They are also shelter. I'm addicted to shelter and indoor plumbing and stuff. Full.
What do you mean?
I mean that, I'm addicted to having a roof over my head and having toilets to work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's just so much better than not having it.
Yeah, but I think there is something about taking a piss out in nature.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Can't
totally.
beat.
No, totally. There was this one time I was way, way out in nature where there wasn't anyone, and I had been there for a few days, so I was, dirty. So I went away from my friend to just, take a bath. And so I, just take all my clothes off, and I'm at a creek, and I'm just, like an animal, just putting cold
An
water
animal?
on myself. Totally.
My grandparents literally did that.
No, but then, like, when I say like an animal, I mean in a good way. And I remember having this attitude toward, like, this wordless attitude towards the dirt and the green and the sensation of the water on me.
Yeah.
And if I could take that attitude towards everything in life, I would literally be enlightened. I'd be like the fucking Buddha.
Yeah.
Like, it was just this moment of, like, pristine, sensory, like, it all just fit.
So, let me ask you this then. Do you think we already live in a dystopia?
Somewhat.
I think we do, because I think we do.
I think we have a lot of good things going for us.
We got pulled so far out of nature. I think we're in the dystopia.
See, I don't think so yet. I think this is like a prodigal wandering in materialism, but that we're going to come back to a place where we're in harmony with nature, but we have all the fruits of our technology. That's where I think we're going. Because, Hegel, he was big on like thesis, antithesis, synthesis, where you go too wrong one way, and then you go too wrong the other way, and then you mix the two and you take the benefit of both, and then that's the groundwork for the next. Take one, take the other.
What does that look like? What is a utopia merged with nature?
All right, so picture...
And how do we make money off of that?
How
do I make
money it's going to be a new paradigm. It's going to be like after money, like you'll have the well-being you need.
Yeah.
But it'll be like, I picture people walking like nude in a jungle on a shore. Like they look like people looked 50,000 years ago.
With an Oculus headset.
Well, no. They have little like neural implants or like black contact lenses so that they can close their eye, or they have like a bead necklace so that when they do the right configuration, they have access to menus, and that if they get hurt or wounded or whatever, that they can go to like a hospital and get antibiotics and all that. But that they live in that sort of healthy, happy, nomadic way, but simply that they have access to the
There's not enough room, dude.
I think there is. I think we just got to figure out a new cultural configuration. It's going to be a different way of looking at things, but that's far off. And I don't think you can socially engineer that because it just turns into like a fascist social engineering nightmare. I think we just have to find our way there as a civilization. So that could be one way.
We should sell this as a service. Come to Dylan Land. I give you an Oculus headset. I strip you of all of your clothes.
It sounds like a cult.
You walk around in my backyard with trees and bushes and plants. Right?
Again, this sounds like a cult. Just go.
And then like once every 12 hours, I'm like, do you feel like you're in nature? How are you?
I just go to a fucking nude beach every once in a while. That's my solution.
Dude, no, I'm not going to that fucking shitty ass. I'll get arrested.
Well, how will you get her by
I don't know. They'll be
people?
like, we let hot people on the beach be naked. You can't do this.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And I'm like, I thought it was a nude beach, and they go, no, not for you. For hot people with six packs, bro. Get the fuck out of here.
Fair enough.
No one wants to see that.
Well, it's fair enough. Well, okay, so speaking of community, so I recently went to a convention, and here's the problem with it. So
are we getting into the convention now?
Yeah, I got some stories. It's not as interesting as last one, but I talk about church and community and things that like make people live like healthier, better lives, and I'm all for that. I think you should find the other people who are your kind of insane. So here's my problem with Golden State FurCon. It was in an airport Hilton. They didn't rent out a convention center. So
where? It was in Long Beach?
It was in it was LAX. It was the LAX airport Hilton. And so it didn't, because it was in an airport Hilton, there were just people walking around who were not wanting to be in the con. And so it was just fucking bizarre, like people just looking at everyone like, what is this? And it's sort of, when it's a convention center, it sort of creates a space where it's like Halloween, like everyone is make-believing that everyone is their characters. And no one is there who doesn't want to be there.
Why don't they have the FurCon out in nature? You'd think that they'd do that
in
like a campground or something.
This is electrical engineers. If you're in every FurCon has like 80 people go to the hospital. Like, you need to be near civilization.
Wait, why?
Because they're all on drugs and putting things in their butts. Like that.
Like ketamine and shit?
Yeah. Like
oh my God.
It is a huge drug scene.
I'm gonna take K and go to Furcon,
No,
bro.
I was tasteful though. I just microdose
Oh,
and up the dose a bit because I think it's important to be on a hallucinogen
bro.
walking around with a bunch of cartoon animals. Like that's if you're on hallucinogens regularly and you don't have a bunch of weird sex experiences, you're wasting the hallucinogens. Like, right?
Oh my god, bro.
So
I'm not trying to impose. I'm still intrigued by some of this stuff. I don't want to ask the wrong question. So if I ask
the wrong question.
No, if I ask the
please.
wrong questions, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make fun
No,
of you.
please do. That makes it much better.
You don't have a fursona yet.
No, well, I mean, I don't have a suit.
Oh, so you have a Sona.
Well, no, I don't exactly have a Sona, but, I write my stories,
Okay.
and I have my various characters.
Okay.
And there's ones that I identify with less than others. But I know that I'm a human.
Yeah,
So
of course.
it's a contradiction to have a Sona.
Okay.
But not everyone knows they're a human. I went to a Therians and Otherkin conference. You know about Therians and Otherkin? Oh my god. Do you remember the craze about people who identified as wolves?
Sort of.
And there was
Like teenage girls, it was
yeah,
like
yeah.
bad. Yeah.
And it was like a meme, like in all ways but physical. I am a wolf.
Yeah.
Barks. So
And there's like videos of the parents being like, "What the fuck do I do?"
Exactly.
Like my 14-year-old has a tail.
A mental illness.
Yeah, I don't know what to do.
Yes. So there was a panel that was Therians, Otherkins, and Beyond, and I was immediately just like, I'm going to this because I love mental illnesses. Like, they're interesting to me. I collect them. I own a DSM.
You're going. What is the?
So
the
I'm
book,
at the con.
The book.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of panels at the con.
Okay, so
in the airport Hilton.
You're going to these out of like intrigue.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm interested in it. And to kill time, of course. So I go.
Grant Scott, he's been killing time when I've been asking to hang out with him every day.
Well, I was killing time waiting for the next event,
Okay.
But then so I go to the Therians, Otherkins, and Beyond conference, and immediately the people putting it on are like, hey, I have dissociative identity disorder, and I identify as like 7 things at once. And the people giving the con were both trans, they were both female to something, this guy's talking about like, yeah, I identify as like 7 different people because I have DID.
Did you hear something?
I didn't hear anything. Huh? Yeah, I didn't hear nothing.
Okay.
So DID, 7 different identities, has an app on his phone that he can check whenever he like dissociates to a. Remember the South Park with the shitty sushi guy that's like a stereotypical schizophrenic? So he's like 8 different people.
No.
Well, do you remember the stereotype of schizophrenia where people called it multiple personality disorder and they thought you had like 8 different people in your head?
Yeah.
It's that, and it's that as a lifestyle.
So he's got like a cheat sheet to like remind him.
Yes, which person I am, and to remind his partner, like, hey, I just switched to be this person now, and instead of trying to cope with it, just, again, turning it into a lifestyle. So this person's given us a speech about, like, what it's like to psychologically identify as a werewolf, and I'm just like, wow, far out. Like, I didn't expect the self-awareness of knowing that he had dissociative identity disorder. But then he says, we're going to break up into groups, just small discussion groups, to talk to people more closely. And I'm like, sure, yeah. There was a new ager that infiltrated the group. And he's,
What is that?
Like someone from the new age, like the UFO abduction type people.
Okay.
And he starts talking to us about, and here's the fascinating thing. In this group, there's another person with, DID, who's like, I'm like queer, I'm autistic, I'm trans, I have 87 mental disorders, I know I have DID, I identify as 80 million different things, and like, so we have one flavor of crazy, but again, very self-aware crazy, but then there's another flavor of crazy. We have a different guy trying to tell us, like, well, people identifying as cats, there's actually lion aliens who live in the Flamine Nebula who are in contact with some of my friends. And we are in astral projection contact with these extraterrestrials. And me and the insane people are like giving each other side eye, like this is a different type of squirrel here. Because, there's a lot of squirreliness in the world. But not all squirrels share the branch well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just different flavors of insanity. And then he starts telling us about how churches use geomantic energy and like crystalline synergy to create a spiritual vibrational space. And that is, I don't know, like maybe we might be in a spiritual vibrational space.
Okay, and then what, they're trying to mimic it? Or
yeah, I don't know, something like that. But no, this guy was not Therian or another kin or whatever. He's just telling us this New Age stuff. And then finally he drops the big bomb. The Tartarians used sound to move stone in the ancient days via sacred geometry. He tells this to us as a historical fact. And then he drops the big one. They're Nephilim. They're giant humans that used to exist, and we have their bones, and the government is covering them up.
dude, it sounds like people are just trying to one-up one another.
No, because it was a space for the wolf people. They were not trying to one-up, like it was their mental illness space. And then you have someone trying to bring a different mental illness in, and he meant it completely genuinely, because he had no self-awareness. Like, he didn't mean it as one-upsmanship. He was just like, because you guys are cool, I can tell you about the Nephilim, about the gigantic humans that used to live on the earth. And, like, I'm given side-eye of, like, this guy's crazy, to the fucking guy who's telling me he identifies as two robots and a disincarnate entity.
You're like, oh, he's normal now.
Yeah.
He just got one-upped.
Yeah.
You think you're off the charts because you're a fox? No. This guy just one-upped you, bro.
So, hilariously, the sanest person in the small group discussion was the person who said, I'm a cat.
Yeah. Normie. That person's a normie.
The normie, yes. Yeah. And then there was another... So again, being in an airport Hilton really made it a lot worse, I'm going to be frank. Like, I had less of a good time than the other one I went to.
Not a safe space.
No, it wasn't because no, it's not even a safe space, just like an imaginative community space.
Right.
Like, because to me, this is a religion analog. So if you had a church where you just also had a bunch of people doing a thing that wasn't the church, like that would ruin the vibe.
Yeah.
But there was one hilarious moment. This is my other story from it that intersects with it being an airport Hilton. So there was this one. Believe it or not, I'm not really into BDSM, but I go to the cons for it because it's adjacent to some stuff I like and because I'm curious about it. Okay. So at this place, there was an 18 and up conference that was like BDSM 101, and I'm like, yeah, I can learn more about it. But here's the thing: I had what I thought was a date happening here. Because there was someone who had been saying to me, hey, like, we're going to meet up at the con, right? We're going to meet up at the con. And I'm like, yeah, someone from school. And then the time came and was like, yeah, hey, so we are going to meet up at this conference, right? And it's going to be cool. And I'm like, yeah, definitely. And I thought it might be sort of a date because there's clearly a little bit of mutual attraction.
Okay.
And so I get to the BDSM conference. And I see, I'd like dress nice, whatever. I see who I think was my date sandwiched between two people on collars with like leashes.
Oh my God, bro.
So my date is holding two leases that go to the collar of someone on each side.
Bro.
And the three people in a row.
Is this the chick you told me about?
No, this is a different character.
God.
This is the three people. It was one person who was trans female to male, another that was trans male to female, and then the third, I don't know what they were. I didn't ask. But again, the sandwich, and they were on enough MDMA, I think, that if I had taken it all, I'd be fucked. And they're all like cuddling and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I guess it's not a date, you know, like it's a little bit
Plans
shocking,
changed.
but like I'm still here to appreciate the conference.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, they're like, hey, like, you're not uncomfortable with this, are you? And I'm like, no, because I'm not uncomfortable with it, because I'm not engaged with this person in any capacity yet.
Hold on, let me...
So I'm just like, you're going to do what you're going to do.
I get text.
But then, the person's like, hey, here's a collar, put this, we're going to have a room party later, so put this on and then give this back to me after the stand-up comedy show at 11, and like we're going to go to the room party, and the room party is clearly an orgy. And I'm just like, this is a lot of like college-age people who are on drugs and don't seem to be doing it that safely. So, like I imagine, I like project my imagination forward. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to go to the orgy. I think I'm just going to head out. But the thing is, aside from all of that, I was asked to put on a collar and wear it around an airport Hilton. And that's not okay.
And you said no?
No, yeah, of course.
Okay.
Like, I'm not going to take it to an airport Hilton and be where there's all these people who can see it. Because
if you were in, like, a luxurious mansion, you might have said yes.
Yeah, I would have considered it with
like
a different way.
Different space.
No, but I have moral principles, and one of my moral principles is...
You only wear the collar in nice areas.
Yes.
That's...
Don't kink and drive. And of course, I tried it on in the BDSM conference, but I didn't do the leash or nothing. Because if I put on the leash, then it's fade to black. You know, we're not going there. But the point is, taking it in public is making it other people's problem. Like, that is the thing. Yeah. I think every crazy kink person needs to have a padded, soundproof room in their house. Like, I think that's really what you need here. And it didn't meet that basic standard. So again, the airport Hilton, disappointment.
Okay. Bad venue.
Yep.
Thank you for sharing it with us. You seem compelled to share this.
No, it was an interesting experience I had. Because showing up to what you think is a date and seeing your date sandwiched between two people with collars and leashes is a surprise. Especially when they're all behaving like they're on MDMA.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And you know what? They have the answers to the tariffs and the economy.
They do.
They know.
No, they're all anarchists.
They all have an opinion on it.
No, I talk to them and they're all anarchists. And they say, like, we're going to destroy the state and burn all the banks.
So we can do the dog collar stuff without people judging us.
Yes, it's going to be an anarcho-primitivist state. And I remember having a deep conversation with one of these people and saying, listen, it's fun until you can't take it off, and then it stops being fun. The moment it, like, chafes and you have your fucking doggy bowl that's rusty, it stops being fun. And that is the inevitable result of anarchism, is that it goes back to, like, a slavery society. And you can't have that, because, again, don't kink and drive. Like, you have to keep them, you gotta keep them separated.
Why are you such a government anarcho-pessimist?
Because we can observe that.
You can envision a utopian anarchy?
No, people would have to have appropriate nature, because the moment you have anarchy, well, okay, you will have some percentage of bad actors. They say bad actors are because of capitalism, but no, it goes much deeper than that. It's animalistic. There are, you were talking about animal instincts, there are plenty of 2-year-olds who would literally eat your flesh if they could. Yeah. Like Genghis Khan level. And that's not a bad thing. We need those 2-year-olds. But no, we need them for our society to work, because like they're like the Pattons and the Churchills. Like, they're necessary. If humanity didn't have that, we'd be extinct.
I wouldn't say that was Churchill or Patton.
I think Churchill was very...
Churchill, maybe just because he's fat, would eat
no, Churchill liked war and killing people. Like, he was...
No,
he was stoked that he got a kill in, like, Rhodesia. Like, he was excited to be like, I'm gonna kill someone in the Boer War. But
that's not like eating someone's skin.
I bet he would for fun if he could get away with it. Like, if it were an act of dominance.
No way.
I don't think this is a bad thing.
No way.
I don't think it's a bad thing. But again, if you have an anarchist society, well, what do you need? Well, you need a pack of people to defend each other. Like, I know once civilization collapses, I hope that you're going to set up your South American compound where we can all farm and have our overlapping fields of fire and protect ourselves from the raiders.
Stay tuned.
Good. But you need that. And so who's the strongest? Well, it's the most charismatic guy who's strong and has the best pack. And that just gets right back to slavery. And we've done that already as a species. That's pre-civilizational. Yeah. I'm ready to move on to the next thing and figure out how to work having a civilization. Because I'm pro-civilization.
You're ready for the next thing.
Yes. Or at least for working out the kinks of this thing.
Okay. Grant's ready for the next step. Oculus, Primal, Techno integrated naturists. Oh, dude, I'm glad we did this. I haven't talked to you in forever, bro.
Same.
And then I go to work, dude, and I'm the one that's ranting, and I can't tell if people. I think people don't like listening to it. Honestly, they're just like, what the fuck? And I'm like, all right, whatever.
We'll waterboard him with this?
I should. I think, this would get me in trouble. This would for sure get me in trouble
You
at
think?
work. Yeah, bro.
'Cause the Muslims.
For sure.
Fair enough.
You know?
Yeah, one day I'm gonna be like.
People also
this
like
is
don't
gonna
want to
come back
talk
to
about
bite
this
me.
stuff, dude. Like,
Well, it's important.
well, you know, hopefully Weinstein listens to this. He might be the only viewer of the program. Like, he's the first one, which is great. We're gonna, you know, we're still expanding. We haven't done an episode in a while.
John listened to the last one.
Did they?
Yeah, John did.
Okay. They're used to hearing this stuff.
Oh my God, you're using they as a pronoun for John?
John and Danny.
Okay, fair.
For fuck's sake, dude.
I
Stop trying to accuse me of misgendering. I already have people putting knives, pointing guns at me about trying to cancel me. I'm not trying to get canceled.
No, people try to use they as a singular pronoun in my ecosystems all the time, and it fucking bothers me.
No, I don't do that.
Okay, good.
I'm talking about, when I say they, I meant our friends.
One day I will be hanged for this podcast.
Very soon.
Very soon.
People are clipping this up right now. They're trying to get me too.
They're gonna send this to my school.
They're trying to get me.
Oh my God, I
know, dude. Do we release this after you get your
No,
diploma?
we released this. We released this. But I wanted to share the last podcast with some of the EDHers because they were like laughing at the video of my speech that I gave at John's wedding, the EDHers at Long Beach.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I gotta show you guys my zoological conference. Oh, wait, no. I complained a bunch about that fucking Catholic
Oh,
in
yeah.
EDH. Who's got better. But
Well,
there's
yeah, that's
still-
why I can't send this to people. My like I told you, my aunt, she's like, "Ooh, you have a podcast?" I'm like, "You don't want, trust me, you don't want to know
Send
what
it.
I'm
Send
talking
it.
about. Like, please don't."
No, waterboard her with my idiosyncrasies and your unhinged Alex Jonesness.
I have said that it makes it fun that you know no one's gonna listen, because then you can say whatever the fuck you want. You're still under a little pressure that it's gonna get unearthed one day in like 20 years, or like probably sooner, like 2 years from now. Someone's gonna unearth this and, you know, clip it up to try to get us canceled. But that's only if we become successful enough to get into the public eye.
I hate to break it to you, Dylan, but we're gonna succeed. We're going straight to the top.
No, I
We're
can't,
going
dude.
straight to the top.
No, bro.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna get picked
Oh
up.
shit, Dan's
All
here.
right.
We gotta go. We're gonna
Fun
play
podcast.
Magic.
Peace.
We gotta wrap this up quick.
Yep.